Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's #1 community for brilliant childcare leaders. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches, best-selling authors, and have personally helped thousands of childcare owners around the world achieve incredible growth. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Hello, and welcome to episode 18 of the Childcare Genius Podcast.
We're your hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
We have an exciting episode lined up for you today. Our guest is a special friend of ours discussing ways to improve your workplace culture. All right. So this podcast is sponsored by Leaf Childcare Insurance.
Give Blake a call at 972-754-8595 to get a free quote on childcare insurance today. Our guest on the podcast today is Ronnae Williams. Ronnae is a former licensing inspector in the state of Georgia. She has worked for KinderCare, Kids Are Kids, and is now the adjunct professor with the Childcare Genius University.
Ronnae owns a business called Culturally Yours, a consulting business that helps childcare owners navigate childcare licensing issues.
Today, we're going to be discussing improving your workplace culture and how to be better prepared for licensing visits.
So let's get my friend Ronnae on the line. Hi, Ronnae. Welcome to the Childcare Podcast. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Been a long time, Ronnae. We missed you. Haven't talked to you in a couple of weeks. How are things?
Man, it's trying to be a little wintry in Georgia, but other than that, I'm good. I'm really good.
Yeah, wintry for you is like what, 50 degrees?
No, we've really had cold days. Like one day, it was like in the 30s. I could smell
my goodness.
I have the automatic thermostat. If it goes to a certain temperature to automatically come on, and I could just smell heat in my sleep. The heater came on.
Wow, 30s in the winter for us is like summer. We would love 30s up here.
Do you still wear shorts in the winter, Brian?
Yep. Yeah, I'm a year-round. I'm a shorts guy in a pants world. I just don't like pants.
Oh my gosh.
I wear them when I have to.
He came to some meeting. All of us had on coats. Brian had on shorts. Too cold. He was like, no, it feels nice.
Well, anyway, Ronnae, you are amazing. We love what you do, and we want to share some of your new business that you've created with our podcast listeners. Okay. Ronnae and I used to work together, and we're getting ready to work together again. We're excited about that. We're great friends. We've been friends for many years, and so we're excited about that. So let's do a little background here. So why don't we get to a little backstory so everybody else gets to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
Can you tell us how you got into the childcare field?
Yeah. So I started off, I got my degree in child and family development from Georgia Southern University. And after I graduated, I thought that I wanted to be a child life specialist. So of course you do those field trips so you can see like the environment that you're going to work in, because child life is a little bit different. It's not like a childcare program or a school. You're in a hospital. And as a new child life specialist, you don't really get to pick your first hospital. The first hospital picks you. And so I went to a hospital and I saw an infant basically on tubes. And so the one thing about child life, sometimes you do activities with the children, but a lot of times you're the liaison with the family. So I learned very quickly after seeing that baby on tubes that I was not quite fit for the child life that I wanted to impact. I think I was more suited for, the child development portion. So I chose the classroom route. I was a lead Georgia pre-K teacher here in Georgia. After doing that for a few years, I became the assistant director and I worked for KinderCare learning centers. I worked there for 4 years. And after working there, I got very chummy with my Bright from the Start consultant, which is the child care state licensing consultant. Whenever she came in, I knew her car, I knew her children. And over time, she was just like, Ronnae, would you mind working with us? Like, we're hiring. And I was like, I can work there? Well, my consultant and I went to the same school. She was like, you'll be fine. I applied and I came in as a family daycare consultant. I worked as a family daycare consultant, and they blended the caseloads a few months into me having my role. So I did family childcare, group childcare, and then childcare learning centers, which are the commercial buildings, but essentially anyone with the capacity over 18. While working there, I did investigations from category 1 to category 3. So something as severe as a death or hospitalization, but I could also do the investigations of, inappropriate activities in a classroom, something, not as serious as the other. I also did the amendments. So that's basically if you had a classroom that became toileted, or you took toileting away, or diapering, you took diapering away. Or if you added, a wing to the other side of your building because your building's doing so well, you had to expand. I've also done the change of ownership. So let's just say a family wanted to pass their business down to their children. I would do the paperwork so that business would legally be the child's business. And I did complaint investigations and then the regulatory visits. So the annual visits and your follow-up visits, I would do those as well. So then while working as a licensing consultant, I did an investigation for Kids or Kids Learning Academies. And it was a sticky one, but I didn't know at the time that I was working with the CEO's wife. And so afterwards, everything was situated. The allegation was not substantiated. And they reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in being a regional manager for them. Came in, got the regional manager position, covered a few states. And after working in that role, I ended up getting a little chummy with the marketing VP. And she asked if I wanted to come to marketing. Never done anything in marketing before, although I have my MBA. My MBA is in administration, like management. So not much with marketing. You do a few courses, but that really wasn't my area of focus. But she was like, with your personality, you'll be fine. Work with Kids or Kids Corporate as their marketing project manager, helping new franchisees and helping the franchisor both grow their businesses. Worked there for a few years, left to work for a childcare marketing company where I met Brian, and just been out here working these childcare streets ever since.
That is a great resume. I tell you, a lot of people, I get more calls on they don't like their licensing worker than nobody ever calls me and say, my licensing worker is just amazing. It's always, she cited me for this, I just got this, and they always blame them for that instead of themselves. Right. And we actually have always gotten along with everyone that we've ever had. We send Christmas cards to them. Every time they point out a violation, we thank them for it, because they're pointing out things that are an unsafe thing. So right. if one of the kids gets hurt, it comes back on us. We want them to point out the things. We thank them, and we immediately say we're going to fix it. We fix it the next day. We take a picture of it, we send it to them. So responsiveness is so important. Mindset is everything when it comes to working. And we don't want to be treated any different than anybody else. We just want to be treated the same as everybody else.
Right.
And it's not a negative. When your license inspector comes in, do not think of it as a negative. It's a learning opportunity.
It's not personal. I think a lot of people, and even as a consultant, I think when you're working really hard at something and someone points out something that's wrong, it's easy to just be like, but I tried my best. But at the end of the day, it takes that fresh eye to point out what you did wrong to prevent a possible incident or accident or situation. Most consultants, there are some that are crazy, don't get me wrong, but most of them are just like everyday people. They're going to work to do their job so they can provide for their family. And they want to protect the children that are inside of your facility. I know for me, I covered the area near my house and where I grew up. A lot of my friends were enrolled in childcare programs where, I was the person coming in to see. I want to make sure that my friends' children are safe. I want to make sure all children are safe. It's never personal.
100%. So when you were an inspector, did you notice that some centers seemed to have a very good culture and some had a bad culture? And what were the differences that you observed?
Absolute culture impacts compliance. Okay. I like to use the restaurant example. Like, you go to a fancy restaurant and it's like the workers just seem like they are more professional. They're in a uniform. They're together. There's just this standard of professionalism and cleanliness. It's the same thing with childcare. It's that passion to do your best. It's that passion to want to make sure that everyone's safe. It's in you. And when you're in a space where the culture is honesty, integrity, wellness, compliance, then that's the tune that everyone's marching to. If you're an owner and you're like kind of sometimey, you believe in cutting corners, you have no respect for your staff, then the staff have no respect for you. Therefore, they have no respect for the children. It all goes into that. The culture that you get at these nice steakhouses and the culture you find at McDonald's, it's different. Those people aren't there with a passion. They're not there because they love food or customer service or things like that. They're there to collect a check and they act as if, and if you go to a nicer restaurant, they go above and beyond to make sure that that steak is okay. Is your food okay? Is your food okay? Is your meal okay? Would you like more water? You go to some of these fast food restaurants and they give you a dirty cup, they give you your wrong meal. Same thing in childcare. If you go to a place and that owner is pouring into their team ongoing professional development, ongoing concern for their well-being, ongoing happiness about how their room looks. Do you have enough materials? Are you comfortable in this room with these children? Have you been prepared to teach and take care of these children? That's part of the culture. Culture is created. A lot of people think like culture is just this thing. You create your workplace culture. So if an owner hasn't created this safe, growing, empowering environment, then they're not going to have a safe, growing, and empowering environment. You create the culture.
I've seen owners that, they have all this turnover because they fire their people that think they have bad culture, and they have a lot of turnover in their business. And they think it's because they have a poor work culture, when really it's the mindset of the owner is off. I've seen that as well, that the owner is the one creating the poor culture. And mindset is so important.
Yeah.
And I think we have a question on culture.
Can you share with our audience a few things that an owner or director can do to get a good work culture?
Because I would say a lot of owners struggle with that culture issue and thinking that it's all the team and not them.
Right.
So how do we shift the owners into a mindset to help them be the leader of that?
I think the owners need to realize what it is that they want as a culture, right? And define it. Write it down, hang it up, put it somewhere where other people can kind of see the direction that you're trying to go, and then implement it. Share it with your team. If you only say that's not our culture, and you can't describe your culture, people can't read your minds and people can't assume your feelings. You have to teach a program or the individuals in your team your culture. And a lot of times people think like culture is a black or white thing. It's not always about race, but I think how some people interpret your culture can reflect back to maybe backgrounds and different things that people have overcome or come from. So getting to know your team is the first step. Learning what type of person that you have to see if they can even adapt to your culture. Some people will not be able to fit to your culture. So you trying to force this kindness or this professional growth or positive mindset, they can't learn that because that person's not built to have that type of mindset. So I think the first step is learning your people, learning how they are, what type of love language do they have, or professional, love language do they have? Are they the type to want a pat on the back? Are they the type to want a gift card? Are they the type to want to just hear good job? Do they want to get a hug on a high five? Like, we got to establish what type of person they are. And then once we realize how we can communicate with them to make them feel loved and appreciated as workers, then we have to then show them, how we want to be in a way that they understand. So let's just say it's a person that likes hearing job well done. Well, after you've talked to them about lesson planning and how to decorate their room, tell them, hey, that was a good, bulletin board that you put up. I saw your lesson today in circle time, and this was amazing. Like, tell them, drop them a little note and say, hey, I saw you. This was nice. building on them, learning to communicate with your team, letting them know your expectations, letting them know how they can meet your expectations. Putting some clear guidelines out there helps your team respond to your desires, which helps promote your culture. So a lot of it is communication. I mean, I
Love
can talk
that.
about culture all day, but it's communication, letting your team know what you want, setting setting the terms of what you want, and then helping them to be successful, giving them training, giving them pats on the back, giving them the materials in their classroom, giving, hearing them when they speak to you about their concerns or areas where they feel deficient or where they feel like they're not supported. It's communication.
Thank you, Renee, for sharing that. I love that. I was coaching a client yesterday, and I told her that you should have 3 positive interactions with a staff member for every 1 negative, at least 3, meaning that you should praise their performance at least 3 times for every 1 time you criticize something on their performance. And a lot of times, as owners and directors, we point out the negative a lot more than we point out. There's probably 3 to 1 the other way.
Yeah.
And that puts people in a negative mindset all the time if they're always being criticized. Like a child that always you're yelling at them and never
Right.
praising them, they're always going to be of a negative. They always expect negative. And it turns out that they've no way to improve their behavior because they're not begging for that positive. Just like a dog wants to be petted and wants you to praise them. If you
Right.
yell at a dog all the time, they're just going to go in a corner. They're never going to fight for your affection. Same thing with your staff. So remember, and one phrase that I always say is catch your team members doing things right.
Right.
And praise them in front of other people. But when you
Yes.
have a criticism, do it in private, never in public.
Remember, your staff people, they're whole adults, and adulting is hard. They come to work with so many things already on their mind. And a lot of times, especially in childcare, their classroom is their own wonderland. And sometimes just acknowledging them and saying, hey, love to see that smiling face. Hey, it doesn't always have to be work related how you praise them. Sometimes praise them for being them and letting them know that you appreciate them, not just as your worker, but for just showing up today. Because adulting is hard, like knowing your team as people, not just your workers. I'm not saying you have to go drink with them or be best friends with them or friend them on social media, but meet them where they are as people. And a lot of times that helps with building the culture because they're now working for you and they're like, this Mr. Brian cares about me as a person, yeah, I work for him, but Mr. Brian has my back. Miss Carol has my back. And I think that helps promote these cultures of acceptance it's all about the whole person. Like, again, I could go on for like a long time about workplace culture, but allowing them to be accepted for who they are is a first step.
You recently started a consulting business. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Yes. So I started a childcare consulting company called Culturally Yours Consulting and Training. And I basically help programs with just the presence of being licensed. So I can help you obtain your license. I also offer state approved training right now for Georgia and Florida. My Texas is in process. I had to renew it. And given them the state approved clock hours, I also can help you with any state compliance issues that you may have. So say you get a visit and you're not really sure how, you don't feel it's true or you don't feel like it's fair and you want to talk to your consultant about it, I can help you with the refutation process.
That is awesome. And we've never had that kind of a resource before. And, when I met you, I was like, well, this is neat to have this kind of person and knowledge to have it. And that kind of spurred me to approach you recently. And so I'm proud to announce this is the first time that we announced, but you're actually going to be working on our team as an adjunct professor. So you're going to come on as basically Childcare Genius's consultant, helping us with licensing issues, we're going to do some training on our team for our clients. And we're going to put together some courses and we're going to be kind of a tool for them. So what are you looking forward to when it comes to helping our coaching students prepare for licensing visits?
I always want to help people get rid of that initial fear or dislike for their state person. We all know when we operate in fear, we make a lot of mistakes. And when we operate in anger, we make even more mistakes. So allowing people to take some of their biases that they may have, whether it's fear or dislike for their state consultant, and allow them to use their state consultant as a resource versus someone that's their enemy. Letting them know the right questions to ask when they're being cited or when they're getting a visit, helping them to have a voice in the licensing process. A lot of times people feel like just because they're cited, even if they were wrong, that they don't have say-so in how the citation may have been written. Because sometimes, depending on how you're cited, it can affect you as a business, if you're licensed, or if you have insurance. So helping people be successful, because citations happen, like it's very hard to be perfect in this world in childcare when you have 18 to 20 other humans inside of your building, but teaching them the steps to learn how to empower themselves when they get a regulatory visit, and also helping them with getting the training so that their staff are less likely to make some of the mistakes. So I'm excited to work with you guys.
Oh, we're excited to finally be working together again. And we just love you, Ronnae. You're amazing.
Thank you.
So we have a mindset question for you.
Okay.
What do you do to relax and unwind?
So it's too cold for my waterfall. So I had to come up with some other things to do that are inside. And so I feel like I've shown you my cups before. I'm a big blinger. And so it's a very concentrated type situation, because I put every single rhinestone and every single pearl on every single cup or tumbler that I make. But that's been my go-to as of lately to just kind of unwind, is just craft, just making things for myself and my friends to just kind of escape the world a little bit. That, and I've discovered my own coffee. I'm like obsessed with every flavor coffee creamer. It's probably not the best for you, but I do use about half creamer, half coffee. So if the caffeine doesn't get me, the sugar will, but I only have 1 cup a day.
1 cup. See, I drink decaf, so I can drink coffee all day long.
I like all the different flavors. Like they have like butter pecan coffee, like Southern. I think I like the nut ones. Like they have pecan and praline. I like all of those.
Oh, you say pecan too. I say pecan.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people call it pecan.
That's what I say, pecan.
I had a friend who from Virginia, and he said, we say pecan. He said pecans are something you take on a long trip.
Oh my gosh. I had to think about it.
Anyway, so we were talking about Childcare Genius, and you said, Brian, I just love the name of your company. And I said, well, how would you define a childcare genius? And you had a great answer, so I figured I'd ask you on air now, with being recorded. Okay. So how would you define a childcare genius?
So technically a genius is someone that can just like make something come to fruition, right? Like they can just kind of figure out these processes and then make it come to fruition in a unique way, So a lot of us think of what is like Einstein, like he was a genius. And so the thing about childcare is we're our own circle. Like childcare is not like public school. It's not like restaurant management. It's not like a gym. Childcare is its own thing. And so a lot of times you just have to figure it out, and you have to figure it out with so many other lives involved, whether it's the children or the people that you employ. And so the cool thing about Childcare Geniuses, of course, I think you and Miss Carol are geniuses, right? So when I look at it from that perspective, you guys were able to have a business pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, and during a pandemic, right? You guys were able to survive over all of these challenges that have come up in regards to childcare, right? So that's genius, right? But then you're able to help people. And for you, Brian, you coached during pandemic and post-pandemic. And I witnessed you pandemic, and to be able to help people get the resources that they need and help them find the tools, right? All you could do is give them the tools. You couldn't do anything for them, right? Because in COVID, every state did something different. But to be able to give someone this hammer, I'm like, this is the hammer. And I use this hammer to fix this wall, right? Now, how you use this hammer to fix your wall may be a little bit different, but I'm giving you this hammer. but giving them enough support to know that when they walked away with your hammer, they could do something to be successful, so they could succeed and come out of this pandemic and still have their business. That's genius. None of us knew COVID was coming. None of us knew how it would impact us, and none of us knew how long it would last. But for you to be able to help people use that hammer to go day by day so they can continue to succeed and, move on from month to month and now year after year, that's genius, and that's what we need. People that are able to take tools that are given to them, not people that'll do it for you, right? Owners that are able to take that hammer and do what they need to do so that they can continue to succeed. That's genius.
Thanks, Ronnae. That's awesome. So how would somebody reach you if they're interested in helping, getting your help? How would they reach you by email?
They can go to my website.
What's your website?
www.culturally-yours.com. I'm the State Lady on Instagram, and I'm Ronnae Williams on Facebook. But there's also a Culturally Yours page on Facebook as well.
The State Lady. I love your little Instagram videos. The State Lady showing up. They're so cool.
These reels are life. I have to get more into like making the videos, the new way of marketing. But yeah.
The next time we're together, let's make a reel together.
We have to I was just going to say that.
100%. We're going to do a reel.
We've got to do a fun one.
All right. Well, Ronnae, we're out of time now, but thank you so much for taking your time on a busy weekday. I know you have a lot of irons in the fire, and thank you for joining our team. We're going to enjoy having you, and you're going to share knowledge and trade and help our people and basically change the world one owner at a time. That's what we do.
I'm excited to work with the genius.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you. Have
Bye-bye.
a good one.
Bye-bye.
I love her attitude.
She is so funny. I'm so excited that we're going to be working with her together in our Child Care Genius University coaching program. She's going to be one of our professors, and she's going to do a lot of our trainings and teachings, and we're going to develop some courses together. And I just love working for her together. She's such a great cultural fit for our Child Care Genius work culture. Now, if you need help with your employee culture in your childcare business and would like us to help you, go to our website, childcaregenius.com, click on the coaching tab, and you'll be able to select an option to get a free coaching call with me. And I'd love to help you grow your business and help you improve your staff culture at your program.
And if you'd like a free autographed copy of our new book, Advanced Childcare Business Strategies, Secrets to Profitability, Expansion, and Wealth Creation, visit our website at childcaregenius.com/books and order today. We'll even pay for the shipping, and this offer is for U.S. customers only.
Awesome. So this concludes episode 18 of the Child Care Genius podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend a little bit of time with us.
And just a reminder to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help your childcare business grow. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.